What's up, kid? It is New Year's Eve. I'm making this video to give you some tools for the next time that you start getting stressed out. This is just the beginning stages of me getting kind of back on track. So what typically happens is I'll go about life, and then I'll get really frustrated at things. So first step is kind of identifying the kind of when stress is building up and when shit's starting to fall apart. And I noticed that I flipped out the other day. I threw a two-wheeler on the floor. I found that it was broken. I was very upset that people didn't tell me that it was broken, so that set me off. I was doing a lift, getting ready for competition, and I missed this specific lift. It was a bench press. I missed it, and then I took a step back and then worked my way back up, and then I got it again, but my video shut off halfway through because my alarm went off. And as soon as I was done, actually while I was still going, I got fucking pissed, and I slammed the weight back on there, and I kicked the camera stand down. So yeah, this isn't typically me. I don't typically flip out like that. So, and it was kind of building and building and building. So first step is I kind of identifying that I'm getting frustrated and getting overwhelmed. I also noticed too, in the morning, I just didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to get in the shower. Well, getting in the shower is fine, but usually I'll put it on cold towards the end of the shower and just try to be okay with the cold water. I mean, just the thought of that was really stressing me out. So usually what I'll do is, that will happen for a little while. I don't know how many weeks that happens, and I think about what causes that to happen. Last couple weeks I went away. The last couple weeks ago I went away to Boston, and I wasn't really super strict on waking up at specific times. Just kind of slept till whatever, and I drank more coffee than I was used to. So that was kind of not really. I wasn't really regimented about that. So I think that was kind of leaking over, and most recently just kind of getting out of bed. So I think a lot of it stemmed from getting out of bed and not being assertive when I get out of bed. And I really thought about it yesterday, and the thought when I was in the shower yesterday, the thought of being able to have my coffee kind of got me going, got me excited to just finish my shower and go downstairs. So today's strategy was just trying to just get out of bed, don't give a fuck, go downstairs, start drinking my coffee, and I didn't even take a shower yet. And I decided to write a little bit and make this video. So typically, this happens every few months. I get kind of stressed out, and this is what I typically go back to. So first, usually what I'll do is I'll do, and this isn't in this specific order. I'll do negative thought tracking. So throughout the day, when I have a negative thought, I'll take a second or two or a minute, and I'll write down the negative thought. Previously, I would be very concise about what that thought was, and I think I'll do that. I use an emotional wheel, and it's there for a reason. So I'll use the emotional wheel, identify it, I'll put a weight on it, a scale of 1 to 10, and then if I feel good enough, what I'll do is I'll match it with a positive thought. At the beginning of this year, I was big on kind of outweighing the positive emotions with counterbalancing the negatives and seeing kind of how that goes. So definitely negative thoughts tracking is something that I typically go to. Okay. The next thing I'll do is I'll just list out everything that's bothering me, everything that I'm fearing, I'm worrying about, and just list it out. Okay, and this may be like a week long process because that list can be upwards of 50 items. So I'll list those all out in day one, and then on day two, or maybe even day two leaks over to the list growing. I'll go through each one of them and just kind of identify what I have control over, what I don't have control over, and then hopefully extract an action plan. Previously, I would just kind of weight them all on a scale of 1 to 10, and I would reorganize and reprioritize them. And in that way, I'm doing the ones that are most important. And typically, by the time I get down to the ones and the twos, I don't have to do it anymore. But that's something that I forgot that I did, and maybe that's something I do now. The next thing I realized is that I don't get out of bed assertively. So usually what happens, I'll lay around in bed, I'll tell myself, well, I need to sleep a little bit more, I didn't get enough sleep, and this leads to a very indecisive mindset, and it makes it so that I'm not assertive. One of my goals is being assertive, and when I'm in bed rolling around and making excuses, like, I'm not being assertive. And this does a couple things. One, it sets a shitty tone and shitty mindset for the day. And then also, too, it just limits my time as well. So if I'm in bed for an extra hour or two, that extra hour or two, I could be doing stuff like this. So I thought to myself this morning, well, I have an extra hour. I could do almost everything that I want to do that's not an obligation within that hour before I even start my day. So I think that getting out of bed, it was a game changer for me in the beginning of this year, and I have to make sure that I create a strategy to get myself out of bed. And today's strategy was to drink my coffee before I even take a shower to get my ass out of bed. So developing that strategy and that dialogue that I'm going to use to get myself out of bed is going to be important, especially in the upcoming weeks, to get me back on track and get me feeling good about kind of the way things are going. The next thing is I realized is I'll randomly check my phone a lot, looking at my messages. I got my notifications off, so I'll spend time kind of looking at that. And that kind of creates some worry and fear and uncertainty, especially if I'm dating somebody or just trying to manage my time. It kind of leaves everything kind of loose, and it doesn't allow me to check my phone when I want to. So I don't really like. I notice that that's what I'll do, and that kind of social media is in that category. So maybe it's something that I create some rules. I never really created rules. I did for the phone. I don't check my phone until I feel good about what I did in the morning. So my morning routine, and then even kind of like if I get down to work, sometimes I'll have to text message people. But what conflicts with that is I have a goal of just trying to send a text message to friends, not specifically friends, I guess. Well, they are my friends, but my clients, I want to send like motivational messages, something funny, something to get them in a good mood. So maybe it's something that I create. I got to develop a strategy for that just so it doesn't conflict, because some people might respond to me and I don't want to be, I want to be able to respond to them, but I also don't want it to leak over into what I'm doing. So, but the other thing too is, what I most recently did is I just added dancing to my routine every morning and laughing too as well. So that's super important because that helps me not take things as serious. And then the first thing, what kind of brought this all up, is just kind of being quick with identifying triggers that are telling me that I'm getting stressed out. So what really led to this was I got frustrated a few times. I flipped out. I said a little bit earlier. So identifying these triggers earlier and sitting down and watching a video like this and just letting myself know that everything's going to be okay. And the things that I listed out earlier, I've done multiple times per year. This is, probably the one, two, three, fourth time this year that I have to go through this protocol to get myself and my act back together so I can feel good about things. So, all right, Chris, I think it's time that you take a shower and get your shit done. You did a good job today, and let's keep the momentum going.